Success is moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. If you try an idea and it doesn't seem to work, and you try again, it doesn't seem to work, you're not a tree. Bend. I would never have known and done the transaction that I did without being properly educated.
Hi guys, so right now I'm going to be interviewing one of the biggest real estate moguls in Lagos and inarguably in Nigeria. He has once managed a real estate portfolio valued at over $50 million. You heard me right. And that's a big deal, right? And there's a backstory, obviously, behind this level of success. So today, we're going to meet him and hear it. Let's go. So I'm sitting here with Hakeem, and I probably should have done intro, but I just think I should let him do his thing. Hakeem, tell us more about yourself.
Hello, my name is Abdulhakeem Sadiq. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Zama. And Zama is a real estate investment and advisory firm.
Okay.
And we were established sometime in 2017 to help fix the problems of Nigeria real estate. That's
interesting.
Yeah.
So you are a real estate advisory.
Yes.
Tell us a brief story of how you first started.
So I started my official career in real estate with a company in Dubai. It's one of the largest real estate investment firms in the world. Okay. I started off as a research analyst, so I was basically at the bottom of research and information. And I had a passion for real estate, but I never really practiced it professionally. But getting a chance to work in a company like that really taught me how to look at real estate from a completely different point of view in a more professional way. And I spent the first 6 months of my work there actually just chewing numbers and looking at all the data. It was basically teaching me how corporates and H&Is use data to make decisions.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So for someone who is coming from that kind of background, what were those challenges that you faced when you decided to move back here to establish your business, knowing fully well what the terrain is here in terms of real estate? Were there challenges, and what were those kind of challenges?
Absolutely. So in fact, one of my biggest motivation when I started working for the company over there was always thinking about home. And working for them and being trained with them, I saw how key decisions, key data were used to actually make very good investment decisions. How the government and how private investors were getting data and making good decisions that was impacting the immediate community. And this was, to me, was like it just blew my mind. I was like, so this is how investment are made in countries like this, and this is how countries are developing, because the UAE is a developing country.
Yes. And
it gave us the ability as a private company to go to the ground, do all the hard work, get all the numbers, and advise them on what to do. And they took our advice and they implemented it. So seeing that happen, all that was in my mind was, I need to come back home.
Yeah.
I need to come back home because I felt my people needed to have access to this information. They needed to know, or I needed to at least train myself and empower myself enough to be able to bring back this value back home. So that's what my plan was. Even when I started working with them, it was always, I was not going to work there forever. I gave myself a timeline of not more than 5 years, and I'll come back home. And I did exactly that. At a point in time, I was making really good money. I was very okay. I was living a very good life over there. But I always felt that lack of contentment because I felt I was taking away what I could give back to my home, because I knew we didn't have that, or at least we didn't have it at the level that they did. So I had a plan to come back home. I called my boss and I told him, hey, I wanted to come back home. He was reluctant in letting me go, but eventually he agreed to say, okay, I'll let you come back home in one condition. That we are planning an office in West Africa. So if you would like to be part of the team that would do that, then you can still be home and still be doing what you do. And I agreed, and that's how I came back home. And I started again the journey of coming into the African market. It was a unique market, had its own peculiar challenges. So when we came in, providing solutions known as corporate solutions for real estate. So we're predominantly focusing on corporate clients that had challenges with their real estate portfolios. So I came in as a portfolio manager. I did what is called a real estate optimization exercise with every client I touched. Before I even started any transaction, I needed to first of all understand what the problem was. And so that whole process was what started with me peeling off the layers to the Nigerian real estate market with the resources that we have from an international and more developed market.
Yeah.
So it allowed us to advise properly, the corporate clients that we had, how they should look and manage and maintain the portfolios that they had. So Nigeria has its peculiar challenges.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely the opportunities are here. And we proved that the opportunities are here because we were very successful.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So when you moved back to Nigeria, how were you able to source your clients? Because obviously it's a new market, somewhere that you're new to. What were the strategies that you had to put in place for you to be able to go out and source for your customers?
Okay, great. So again, like I said, predominantly our clients were corporates, and on a case-by-case basis, we took on HNI, high net worth individuals that were majorly developers. So when we announced coming into the market, initially we had contracts where we were just flying in and flying out and doing a lot of advisory work. But when we came into the market and we brought value, basically by advising properly with information to the corporate, mostly the banks. When they saw what we were on about and they saw how independent we were, they decided to let go and allow us run the program that we had. So we basically ran them through our processes that was very watertight, and that required them to hands off for us to be able to achieve what we wanted to do. And they agreed. So we had a contract with them, and really it was more a word of mouth thing. Once we were successful with this bank, they referred us to another bank that had the same challenge. And it was sort of a really good opportunity for us, because we came in just when CBN was on about the recapitalization exercise for the banks. The banks had no liquidity and they were looking for liquidity. And one good way to unlock a lot of liquidity was through their real estate portfolios that they had. The bank was sitting on a lot of dead assets, and they were sitting on a lot of delinquent assets, and so they needed an independent party that could come in, identify the problem, and find a solution to it, which was what we did. And we did it quite well.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so but having been in the business for a very long time, what would you say is the best way to negotiate? Because I know a lot of deals come to your table, and then you have to strike a deal and close the deal eventually. What would be your negotiation strategy, and what would be your advice for people that are also into your line of business and they struggle with sealing the deal because of negotiations?
Well, I would say never go into a negotiation without being informed. You have to know who you're negotiating with.
Yeah,
that sets the tone a lot for me. I like, my boss used to say I'm a lone wolf. I like to operate alone because it helps me control the narrative. But before I go into a negotiation, I always need to know who you are and what exactly you would want from me. And the second best thing that I always empower myself with is I never go into a negotiation without being able to walk out of it. I always go with the option that I can walk out of this.
Oh yeah,
so I'm never desperate for anything. I will always give you the options at the table that are fair, and then we can negotiate towards a mutual benefit. But I never go into a negotiation without being able to walk out of it.
That makes sense.
And I will always empower myself with the data. Once I have the information about what I have, and I know you need it, then we can always come around. There's always a way to succeed in a negotiation.
So in your words, we mustn't close the deal. You know exactly what you have.
Exactly.
And then you just bring your best foot forward, and whatever happens, happens.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Exactly.
So what marketing strategy would you say has best worked for you as someone who has been in the industry for a very long time, especially specific to the real estate business?
Okay. I always tell people real estate is really a business about relationships. The rest is just details.
Yeah.
Your ability to harness relationship is really what the business is about. Because most, even corporates and individuals, tend to transact maybe once or twice in their entire life. Mostly with individuals. A person like me and you would always buy a house one time in their life. So it's a key decision in their life. So they always take their time to make sure that they're doing it. So a lot of what I do is make sure that I bring value to the table, in the sense that I'm bringing you documentation towards an asset that is actually real. It exists, which is one of the problems that we were having when we discovered when we came into Nigeria, a lot of properties did not have the right type of documents. Some didn't even have type documents at all. Some were not properly processed. Some had many layers of ownership on top of it. So we had to fix all of that. So I would not come into a negotiation, for example, with an asset that has encumbrances on it. I'm not going to come to you and tell you that this asset is perfect when it's not, because that affects the value of what exactly I'm asking for. So I need to get that information and come to the table with you, to be able to transact properly. So a lot of it goes towards word of mouth. Most, I would say 80% of transactions that I've closed, I had done little, I didn't even do any advertising for it.
That's interesting.
I mostly just have referrals either from the bank, or I basically have people talk about, here's a house that I know and this is the person that is responsible for it. The best that I typically tend to do, I just put a billboard on the property lot and just say it's for sale or it's for rent, and I get calls from that. That has been the most efficient mode for me, but majority of transactions has always been through referrals. Once I successfully close a transaction, that person tends to lead, give me other opportunities, give me leads, and I always close.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to a young person who is looking to go into your line of business? Because I mean, there are so many branches to real estate. There are agents, there are people that do the developing and all of that. But I think your own field is quite unique, and not a lot of people know about it, I think. So what advice would you give someone who wants to venture into your line of business in real estate?
I would say education. Get the proper education. I would never have known and done the transaction that I did without being properly educated. I did a master's in real estate development and management. So it opens your eyes into seeing a lot of things, into having perspective in the industry. I never knew, for instance, birth rates and death rates have a direct impact to what developers should build in an environment. Even divorce rates, the more people get divorced, the more number of bedrooms you may need in a particular location. Suddenly, if the people are, me and you are married and we divorce, you may need a new house, or you may want a one-bedroom self-contained,
smaller house.
So the divorce rates in certain areas tend to give you an idea of the number of one-bedrooms or two-bedrooms that are required in certain areas. Yes, so all these type of demographics information gives you a good idea as to how to build. Even for instance, the number of airports you would have in a city has a direct correlation to the number of hotel rooms you should have there. Because the more people are flying in, the more likely they would want to have temporary accommodation. So these are information I really did not know until I got informed. So definitely get educated, get informed. There's a lot of resources online. If you can afford it, go to school, get a degree on it, and it helps, because that was my pathway. I actually went to school, learned, and from there I got an internship, and then I got into this company that really trained me. And it's a really good thing for you. It's a really good career path that can make you a very successful person. And it's an industry that every successful person plays a part in. Whether they're corporate or whether they're HNIs, they always have investment in real estate. So it's a no-brainer.
That's interesting. So knowing what you know now, with all the knowledge you've acquired, over the years, if you were to go back in time to start all over again, what were those things you would have done much differently to achieve what you think would be a better result to what you have now?
To be honest, I don't know. I believe in destiny, and I'm here exactly talking to you simply because I chose the path that I did. And I don't think there'll be much that I would change aside from taking more risks. I was very risk averse. I was always, playing it calmly, but then I realized that really to succeed in life, sometimes you have to take risk, calculated risk, but you must take more risk. And I feel like maybe I was a little bit too comfortable, and I was scared to fail. I think my biggest problem was I was always afraid that if I did something I didn't understand, I would fail. But I didn't take more risk, and I would love to have taken more risk growing up. I'm still learning. I'm still taking.
We are all learning. We are all evolving.
Absolutely.
So, this is a very daring question. Someone has to ask. What is the biggest deal you have ever closed in this industry, in this business?
Okay. I wouldn't give you the details,
Okay.
but I'll give you some highlights into it. So I did 2 massive transactions locally here in Nigeria. I closed 2 deals that were up north over just over tens of millions of dollars locally here. And I did another deal also in the UAE also. That was a massive deal. It was about $125 million deal. I was part of the 3-member team that closed that transaction. But again, for me, my pride is always in my country. Being able to help restructure or, close out certain transactions that are very difficult to close. We were closed at a time where people were saying there was no money. The banks were very illiquid and they were looking for funding. There was this particular deal that required me to really pull myself in different directions. I had to fly out of the country. I went to France, I went to the UAE, and I went to Egypt just to be able to close this particular transaction.
That's huge.
Oh yes, it was. It's a massive building in Ikoyi that needed to be restructured and refinanced, and we had all sorts of interest. It was one of the top transactions for the year in my company at the time. So I had even the CEO interested in these transactions, and they were pushing for this transaction to go through because obviously it was a really good commission for the company. And it required, I did not sleep for at least a good 2 weeks trying to close that transaction because I had all sorts of vested interest. I had one of the wealthiest Nigerians interested in that particular transaction also. So it was a big one. It was a real eye-opener for me from an investment point of view, and also learning how the banks work at their core. And it was really interesting and very insightful for me. So yeah, that's all I can say.
I mean, I could take that. I would take that. So I think one of the closing questions I have is, do you think young people are afraid to take risks generally? And what do you think young people can do better in order to gain some certain level of financial independence or financial freedom?
That's a good question, because the world that we're living in now is a lot different from the world we had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And I would say if I had more access to information that I had now, I would definitely be so much better off. And I feel for young people like us and even younger generation than us, my advice is don't be scared to fail. Because it paralyzed me. I was so scared of failing. I was so scared of what people would think of me or what my family would think of me if I failed. I'm the eldest son, so there's that expectation. So I never wanted to see myself as a failure. My father always used to tell me, he always reminded me, he always says, look, Hakeem, success is moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Everybody that you've met that is successful has failed. I have failed. Think of the most successful person. They've all failed. They've all had businesses that have failed. So don't be scared to fail. It's really a learning curve because nobody's born experienced. So you have to learn. So the issue is for you not learning from your failures. But if you're able to pick yourself up, learn, this is what I did, and own it. I made a mistake. I took the wrong decisions, and this is the result of it. I failed even in my first real estate venture. I thought when I was going to launch this really big company that was going to solve the problem. Even when we started my company, Zama, we had lots of failures. We didn't understand the market properly. We were pricing our product and pricing ourselves out of the market. We didn't know and understand the purchasing power of the Nigerian market. We did all of these studies and all of this analysis, but when we came to market, it was a completely different ballgame. So we had to learn and pivot. We had to learn and change and adjust it so we can stay alive. So don't be scared to fail. Always learn from your failures and develop from your failures, and then always learn to pivot. If you try an idea and it doesn't seem to work, and you try again, it doesn't seem to work, you're not a tree. Bend. When the tree is growing up and it doesn't see sunlight, it bends. It looks for sunlight. So always pivot. Don't be scared to fail. Always put yourself out there and try. And these days we have access to so much information.
I agree.
Right now we have ChatGPT, we have DeepSeek, we have platforms that can easily make presentations for you in 5 minutes. In those days, we needed all sorts of tools to do analysis. We needed to even pay consultants. But right now, you have it literally at the tip of your fingertips. So you have access to so much resources that can empower you. And trust me, the world is going to change in another 5 years with the advent of AI. In fact, today I was just reading an article about how you can use AI to literally transfer my face in this video that we're doing right now and make it somebody else.
Yes.
So there's so much power that can give to you. And even real estate. In real estate now, we are implementing AI tools, like AI chatbots. Now you don't necessarily need an individual to be sitting in the office to close deals anymore.
100.
You can program chatbots to look for leads for you, scan the network, scan the internet, get contact information, email those contacts, and follow up for you, and just close the transactions easily. People are doing that right now successfully.
So in your words, young people should utilize the resources available to them, and also never be afraid to fail.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, this is just top of my head, right? At what point do you bend? Because someone could say, oh, you're quitting very easily, right? But then you can fail several times. But at what point do you say, okay, that's it, let me look for something else to do?
Yeah, when you keep trying something and it keeps giving you the same results, right? That should tell you something. So if you keep trying something and it doesn't give you the results that you want, it means it's not working. So at that particular point, you have to make a decision. Either you want to keep doing that and keep failing, or actually pivoting and changing the direction to something else that can be a success to you. And it's not a bad thing for you to change. A lot of people are more idealistic than they're practical. They just have this idea it must work, but it will not necessarily work. Like I said, my experience, we built a platform, priced it in a certain way, even did the data analysis and research, and felt like, well, if we launch this product now in the market, agents are going to subscribe to it and they're going to use it, and we built a whole application for this, and we just had very few people using it. And even while they were using it, they were facing some certain technical challenges that we had to learn from, implement into the platform, and grow. So the market was dictating to us how it should function. Because we were in the market, we're in a business to make money, and the only way we can make money from people is if it's convenient for people to utilize and they're getting value from the utility of the product. And that was it. So we bent and we started to make money, and we continued to grow. So that's it. You have to learn with the experience in the market.
This is a very insightful conversation, I think. Thank you so very much for agreeing to do this.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was a very insightful conversation I just had with Hakeem. And one of the key takeouts for me is that failure is not an option. And then also expect failure, because there'll be setbacks, there'll be challenges. But just knowing that when you fail, you can learn from your mistakes. You can implement whatever lesson you've learned to become better, to improve. That is very insightful, to be very honest. And you guys, it only gets better, because there'll be lots of conversations and interviews like this where you can draw inspiration from to keep doing what you're doing, right? So you guys, I'll see you at the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and stay tuned for more interesting conversations like this. See you at the next one.